Life of the Ladybird by Heidi Rose and Andreas Fischer Nagel. Oh. If your garden has a variety of trees, shrubs and flowers, it is also likely to contain quite a lot of animals. Some of them, like birds, you will be able to see quite easily. Others, such as spiders and insects, need to be looked for rather more carefully. This is not because they are less common than birds, but because they tend to be small and are therefore easily overlooked. In fact, insects are the most numerous of all the world's animals, and every garden contains large numbers of them. This book is about one particular group of insects, ladybirds. Most kinds of ladybirds are shiny red and black in colour, but there are others with different colour pattern, perhaps black and yellow or pale brown and yellow. Like all insects, ladybirds are most often seen in summer, but they begin to be active in spring, as soon as the sun starts to shine more strongly. One day there are none, the next you may see dozens wandering over a flower head or clustered together on a fence or wall. You may ask, where have they come from? The answer is that they have always been asleep, hibernating. Most insects do not like cold weather, so as soon as winter arrives, they seek out places in which to shelter. With ladybirds, this may be under the loose bark of an old tree, or perhaps in the corner of a shed, sometimes even in a house. Quite often, you can find hundreds of ladybirds sleeping together side by side. They are able to survive the cold weather by lowering their body temperature and by becoming completely inactive, so as not to use up any energy. Never disturb any ladybirds you may find hibernating because, as we shall see later, they are among the most useful and attractive of all the insects. Now, with the arrival of warmer weather, the ladybirds are becoming active again. Go into your garden or into the park and see if you can find some of them. One of the first things ladybirds do after they emerge from their winter sleep is to seek out a mate so that a new generation of ladybirds can be born. The photograph below shows a group of common 7-spot ladybirds. Because their colours are the same, male and female ladybirds are not easy to tell apart, although the female is sometimes slightly bigger than the male. The ladybird in the middle of the picture is probably a female. Like most insects, ladybirds' eyesight is not very good, except at close quarters. They probably find and recognise one another mainly by scent and touch, with the help of their short antennae, or feelers, which you could just see on the head of the left-hand ladybird. When the male and female meet, they may sit facing each other for some time. After a while, the male crawls around the female and climbs onto her back. He holds himself in position by means of his legs, which end in tiny claws. Then he injects a liquid called sperm into the female's body, which fertilizes the eggs. Of course, the female has had the eggs inside her all the time. It is simply that they need the male's seed to make them fertile and capable of producing young ladybirds. Soon after mating, the female ladybird seeks out several places to lay her eggs, usually on plant leaves or stems. She can produce several hundred eggs and lays them in different places in small batches, ranging from 2 or 3 to several dozen. In this way, the female increases their chances of survival because there are other small animals which will eat the eggs if they can. Each egg has a sticky substance which holds it in position. Although the ladybird's eggs are bright yellow at first, they become steadily darker as the time comes for them to hatch. The eggs hatch after about a week. The baby ladybirds, or larvae, struggle out of their shells and then rest for a while until their skin has hardened and darkened. The larvae have 6 legs like adult ladybirds, but no wings or hard wing covers. In fact, they have no need to fly yet, since they will be able to find all the food they need nearby. Their mother made sure of this when she laid the eggs that produced them. After an hour or so, the ladybird larvae leave their empty eggshells and start to explore their surroundings. Ladybird larvae are fussy about their food. They eat only aphids, often called greenfly and blackfly, as well as other plant-eating bugs like scale insects. The ladybird larva has plenty of food to choose from since aphids are all around it, but when it is very small it chooses the smaller and more tender greenfly as food. It feeds on them by piercing each body with its hollow jaws or mandibles and sucking out its juices. Aphids can be a great pest in the garden, and ladybirds help to reduce their numbers. Ladybirds aren't the only insects that like aphids. So too do ants, but for a rather different reason. Ants love the sweet liquid which the aphids get rid of whilst they are feeding on plants. Aphids are wasteful feeders and always seem to take in more nourishment than they actually need. As a result, the liquid they excrete is rich in sugars. The ants are naturally jealous of anything that threatens their aphid cows, so if a ladybird larva attacks a colony of aphids, the ants may try to drive it away or kill it. Fortunately, ladybird larvae have an unpleasant taste, so it is unlikely that many will be killed by the ants. The larva's bristly hairs may also protect them to some extent. The only way insects can increase in size is by shedding their skin. Underneath the old skin, a new and looser one is being formed which allows for growth. A ladybird larva changes its skin about 3 times whilst feeding and growing. When it is full grown, it stops feeding. It is now ready to turn into a chrysalis or pupa, the final development stage before the ladybird becomes an adult. Not all ladybird larvae survive this far. Some are killed and eaten by animals like the fierce lacewing larva. If it escapes such dangers, the full-grown ladybird larva attaches itself to a plant or twig by means of a silken pad. It sits quite still until the larval skin splits to reveal the pupa or chrysalis beneath. Already the pupa shows the outline of the future adult ladybird's head and wing covers on its surface. Inside the pupa, complicated changes are taking place. The whole structure of the larva is being broken down and rearranged to form the adult ladybird. Then after about a week comes the final dramatic change. The pupa splits between the lobes of the head and the adult beetle pushes its way out, thrusting aside the pupal case with its legs. At first its colour is yellow, but gradually colouring matter will be pumped into the outer skin to change it to red with black spots. The skin is soft at first but gradually hardens. Here you can see a ladybird which has just freed itself from its pupal case. Because it is yellow, you would scarcely think it was a ladybird at this stage except for its typical shape. The ladybird's spots are gradually becoming clearer. It is stretching its wings to allow them to dry and harden properly because it will be unable to fly while they are damp. The curved wing covers protect the delicate wings from damage, covering them when they are not being used. When the ladybird flies, its wing covers are held up high, out of the way of the wings. Now, after several hours, the ladybird has become its proper colour. The outer surface of its head, the thorax, the area just beyond the head, the wing cases and undersides are hard and shiny. The colours of individual species of ladybird tend to vary. Some are orange-red, others are darker red. These ladybirds are all of the 7-spot variety. Here, an adult ladybird is taking its first meal of aphids. Ladybirds eat very large numbers of these harmful insects by chewing them up whole. They do not eat quite so many as their larvae because larvae need more food for their growth and development. Adult ladybirds do not grow anymore and need food only for walking, flying and mating. Whether adult or larva, however, the ladybird is an extremely important pest controller. There are not always enough ladybirds to kill all of the aphids that attack plants. Because of this, gardeners and farmers often use insecticides. Unfortunately, such poisons are likely to kill the ladybirds too, as well as other useful creatures like spiders and birds. Biologists realise that one of the best ways to control or reduce pests is to increase the numbers of their natural enemies like ladybirds. They have found that it is possible to breed ladybirds and other useful insects in greater numbers and then release them onto plants. Ladybirds have actually been used as natural pest controllers in many countries. For example, they have proved useful in countries like the USA, Australia and South Africa for controlling the numbers of scale insects, which are another kind of plant-eating pest. This picture shows what a difference in size there is between ladybirds and a small tortoiseshell butterfly. The butterfly is feeding on the sunflower's nectar, and it is likely that the ladybirds will take a sip of it too. Maybe they will eat some of the flower's pollen as well. All of the ladybirds in this picture are of one kind or species, the 7-spot ladybird. However, there are many other kinds. About 4,000 species occur in different parts of the world. There are 80 kinds in Europe, about 45 of them living in Britain. The names given to ladybirds usually refer to the number of spots they have on their wing covers. The ladybird at the top left is the 14-spot. The bottom left is the much commoner 2-spot. You can often see this one in large numbers, especially when it hibernates during the winter. The large ladybird opposite is called the eyed ladybird because of the eye-like markings on its wing covers. Occurring mainly on fir trees, it is the largest European ladybird, being about 8 to 12 millimeters long. The handsomely patterned ladybird on this page is another kind of 14-spot, although its spots are run together. Here is one form of the 10-spot ladybird. It is more often yellow with black spots. Here is another form of the 2-spot ladybird. Its usual colour is red with one black spot on each wing cover. In this form, the colours are reversed and the spots have been increased to 4. This black and yellow ladybird is the 19-spot ladybird. It has 9 spots on each wing, another where its wing cases join at the top, and 6 more on its thorax. It is less round than most ladybirds and occurs in marshy areas. This 7-spot ladybird looks as if it is dead, but it is only shamming. Ladybirds often do this if in danger. They fall to the ground, lie still for a moment, and then turn over and walk, or fly away. Adult ladybirds have other defences too. They can give out a horrible tasting fluid from joints in their body, which stops enemies from eating them. It is thought that the ladybird's bright colours warn birds and other animals that it tastes unpleasant and is best avoided. How long do ladybirds live, you may ask? The answer is, not very long, though it varies according to when they are born and how much food they can find during the summer. When the colder weather comes, those that survive go into hibernation for the winter and live longer, about 6 months. For centuries, ladybirds have been thought to be lucky. Perhaps this is because one of the commonest species of ladybirds is the 7-spot, and 7 has always been thought of as a lucky number. Why not try to find a 7-spot ladybird and a 4-leaf clover and decide for yourself whether either brings you luck? The end. Just as a little side note, one of my favourite facts about this beautiful experience called life is the following. The collective noun for a group of ladybirds is called a loveliness. So, what do you think about that? Thank you for listening to my bedtime story. I hope you enjoyed it.